Yo, what is up, everybody? Today we are ranking the 10 megas coming up from the new Mega Evolution set, and kicking off that list, we're going with Mega Abomasnow at number 10, being the worst out of all 10 of the megas. For 2 energies, you're attacking with Avalanche Hammer, doing 100 damage, and then 100 more damage. Well, sorry, 100 damage for each basic water energy discarded off the top 6 cards of your deck. So, not that great of an attack, considering the only deck manipulation you could do is Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking and maybe Academy at Night. And doing this just to get like 200, maybe 300 damage, like, it's just not very consistent. And even if it is consistent, it's way too much on a stage 1 350 health Pokemon, which is good numbers, by the way, but having a retreat cost of 4, it's just not very good. But its second attack is a little better than the first attack, I would think. Frostberry doing 200 damage guaranteed every time for 3 water energies. Entering your opponent's next turn, it takes 30 less damage. So you could go with a tankier build with this, but just being your main attacker with a 3 prize main attacker, I don't think is really what you want to go for here. It's going for a tank build, like semi pseudo tank build, but it's just not like tanky enough with the 30 less damage every turn. It's not very good. So that's why we have Mega Abomasnow at number 10. In our number 9 slot, this may be controversial, but I have Mega Latios. Mega Latios is a basic dragon Pokemon with 280 health, so pretty good for a basic Pokemon, and it's dragon, so it has no weakness and resistance. However, it is weak to Psychic when they have Lily's Clefairy in play, so that is not very good because there is a lot of Psychic and a lot of Lily's Clefairy going around right now. It does have 1 retreat. I think this card would be a lot better if it had a free retreat cost, but it doesn't. For 1 energy, you can attack with Strafe, doing 40 damage, and you may switch it with one of your bench Pokemon. So, I mean, sure, you can go with Hit and Run, but 40 damage for a Hit and Run, just not very good, especially a 3 prize liability. I mean, you could just boss it up. That's really all you have to do. And then the second attack, Mirage Pulse, 300 damage, and then you discard all energy from this Pokemon. So, basically the same attack as Pikachu EX, just not as good, because you're doing Fire, Psychic, and Normal, which are the energies played inside of Dragapult, but it's just way too clunky to fit in the Dragapult. I mean, like, if you're playing this in Dragapult, why? Like, what are you playing this for in Dragapult? There's no reason. This card kind of just seems like a worse Pikachu EX, and it's a 3 prize liability, so I don't really see why you would be playing this. I mean, you could play it in its own deck, but having a main attacker as Mega Latios EX, only doing 300 damage, not very good. I mean, you could even play with Max Belt to do 350, but I just don't see this card seeing very much play. In our number 8 slot, we do have Mega Kangaskhan EX, a basic Pokemon with 300 HP, which is a lot of HP for a basic Pokemon. You can do a tank build with this using cards like Bravery Charm, the Lively Stadium, get it up to 380 HP, which is a bunch of HP for a basic, do not get me wrong. Its ability, run errands once during your turn. If this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may use this ability and draw 2 cards. So this ability is really good because it's basically a built-in draw engine, and drawing 2 cards in the active, that's really good. That's the same as Goldengo. You can't use more than one of these abilities in one turn, so you can't do much switching action, but I don't think you would be doing that anyway because it has a retreat cost of 3. If this card had a retreat cost of 2, I think it could be way better than what it is now, utilizing a big air balloon to make it have a free retreat cost, but it doesn't. And then for 3 normal energies, or any energies, obviously, sorry. Okay, no, I'm good. Rapid fire combo, 200 damage, and then you flip a coin until you get tails. This attack does 50 more damage for each heads. So 200 base damage for a basic with no downsides is really good. I think that on its own is actually a good attack, and then whatever you get as heads is kind of just a bonus attack, bonus damage, I should say. I don't like decks that kind of rely on coin flips, though. I wouldn't necessarily say you're relying on a coin flip with this card, since the 200 base damage is already a lot. But I don't really see this card slotting into many decks. It is weak to fighting, which is good because there's not very much fighting type in the format right now. I think number 8 is a good spot for Mega Kangaskhan. Then we go into our 7th slot here. We have Mega Absol EX, 280 HP Dark type Pokemon for 2 energies, 1 dark, 1 colorless, Doom period. If your opponent's active Pokemon has exactly 6 damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. So it is Dark type, so you can pair this with Monkey Dories, utilizing the Dark type on the Monkey Dories to move 30 damage over to your opponent's active Pokemon. If you do that twice, then you can use Doom period to knock it out. But you gotta think, where are those damage counters coming from? The card Glaceon EX already does have this attack. Of course, it is way more costly, but it's not very good. And then we have for 3 energies, 2 dark and a colorless. Cruel Claw, 200 damage, and your opponent reveals their hand. You discard a card you find there. So that is really cool, that attack. 200 base damage. Again, really good number to be hitting. And then your opponent reveals their hand and you discard a card. So I think if this card does see play, it will be in a control variant, something along the lines of that. Discarding any card that you find is actually really powerful, so you could use this with hand disruption and then discard whatever card they have already. So honestly, that attack's not bad at all, but it is 3 prizes. Again, it's really hard for something with 3 prizes just like that to really see much play. A lot of these cards, their only downside is they're 3 prizes, which makes it so much harder to fit them into decks and like rely on them as your main archetype. Then we go to our 6th best Mega Evolution from this set, Mega Lucario EX, 340 HP as a stage 1 fighting type Pokemon. Good HP, and then for 1 fighting energy you do Aura Jab, 130 damage, and then really good energy acceleration, attaching up to 3 basic fighting cards from your discard pile to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. I don't necessarily love this attack just because you're accelerating energies with a Mega in the active, and sure, you can accelerate the energies, but you're leaving that 3 prize liability in the active. And you can use it to self-accelerate itself, but it only costs 2 energies. Mega Brave, 270 damage, and your next turn you can't use Mega Brave. So, I mean, it's an okay attack. It's nothing crazy. The only thing making me put this in the 6th slot is we are getting a lot of fighting support cards in the deck, like that Gong. There's the Premium Power Pro, like the Powerade gives you like 30 more damage. It has a 2 retreat cost, which is pretty good. But if you're accelerating fighting energies, once again, there's not very many good fighting cards in the format right now. So what are you really accelerating to is the question. Of course, the fighting support cards being added in this set does help bump it up to number 6 in our list, but we're gonna have to move on. Coming in at number 5, we have the Mega Camerupt. I've heard a lot of people think this card is trash. I've heard people think this is the best Mega coming out from the set. I think it's just in between. Stage 1, 340 HP, pretty beefy. It has a very, very beefy retreat cost of 4, which is pretty bad. And then for 1 energy, Roasting Heat, this is the attack you would be using if you play this card. 80 damage, and then if your opponent's active Pokemon is burned, this attack does 160 more damage. So I would say effectively doing what, 240 and then 250 damage, because you gotta count for the burn. So 250 damage for 1 energy is pretty good. How you're gonna burn your opponent's active Pokemon with the new Volcarona, which is also a stage 1. So you use the Volcarona to discard a fire energy card from your hand, burn your opponent's active Pokemon, and then you can use Roasting Heat. All it takes to accelerate this is the attach return, so that is good. You can play Hyper Aroma with this to search out all your stage 1s. However, the downside of this deck is that your main attacker is a 3 prizer. Having a 3 prizer as your main attacker makes it really easy for your opponent just to go 2 KOs and win the game. So that is what's keeping Mega Camerupt from moving up any farther in this list. Number 4, we have Mega Mawile EX, 270 HP as a basic steel type Pokemon, and the second attack you're doing 2 steel energies and 1 colorless for Big Bite, 260 damage. But if your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage counters on it, it only does 30 damage. So 260 damage, because that's the only time you'd be using it. Not a bad attack, but not great either. And then 2 steel energies, Greedy Devour. This is what you're going to be using this card for in decks like Archaludon. 80 damage, and then this attack does 80 damage for each prize card you have taken. So say you've taken 4 prize cards, 4 times 80, that is already 320 damage. 320 damage for 2 steel energies is actually really good, so that's what you're going to be using this for. It is a late game attacker, and if you're using this in the late game, you're not really worried about the prize liability, because it is the late game and you can already assume your opponent is already on 2 or less prize cards, I would say, making the utility of Mega Mawile very strong, which I think is what we want to see out of these megas. We want to see megas that can come into the late game and really finish the job, because I don't know, until we see a super strong mega like one coming up on this list, I don't think too many archetypes can really thrive off of just using megas as the main attacker. Speaking of utility, we have Mega Gardevoir coming in at number 3, 360 HP as a stage 2, very, very beefy. For its first attack, Overflowing Wishes. For each of your bench Pokemon, search your deck for a basic energy and attach it to that Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. This first attack is meant to be paired with the second attack for 1 Psychic Energy Mega Symphonia. This attack does 50 damage for each of your Psychic Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. Yeah, you're supposed to attach all the energies with the first move and then swing with the second move, but you have to leave the 3 prize liability in the active for like 2 turns in a row just to get that damage off. So it's not really good for that purpose. I think you're using this as a one-up in Gardevoir EX for a late game attacker. You're doing a bunch of energy. It's easy to accelerate that energy to your Mega Gardevoir with normal Gardevoir EX. And then once you do that, you can do one big swing and you don't have to worry about leaving it in the active because it is the end of the game, which gives Mega Gardevoir EX a really good purpose in the format. I don't think it's going to be seen as its own deck, obviously not good enough for that, but playing it as a one-of in Gardevoir EX could be a really good idea. Coming in at number 2, we have Mega Manectric. I think this card could be number 1. I'm really debating number 1 and number 2. They're kind of really, they're both really good. We have Mega Manectric EX, 330 HP as a stage 1 lightning type Pokemon, 2 lightning energy, flash ray, 120 damage during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon. So you're immune to all basics. That is insane. And this Pokemon does have a free retreat cost, which is great. And then its weakness is to fighting, and there's not much good fighting type in the format. And then its second attack, 3 lightning energies, Riot Blaster, 200 damage, and then you may discard all energies from this Pokemon. If you do, the attack does 130 more damage. So you're discarding all energies, yeah, sure, but you're also one-shotting pretty much every stage 2 besides the Megas in the format. So what I'm thinking with this card is you flash ray every time you play against the basic, anytime you're facing up against the basic, and then you're playing against evolution Pokemon, you just use Riot Blaster to take it out. So I think that is a really good combo. It is a Swiss Army knife of a Pokemon, you could say, able to deal with a variety of situations, being able to deal with the basics and the evolutions. And then this is easily powered up with Magneton to give that 3 energies in 1 turn. You can easily go Riot Blaster, Magneton ability, Riot Blaster, and then you also have cards like Electric Generator, maybe even like, I guess you could use Joltik, but I don't know about the whole Joltik thing with Mega Manectric, and then you could always use Electric as well. So I think Mega Manectric actually is one of the few that could exist as its own archetype. I don't know about existing completely as its own, probably not. More of a Miraidon variant than anything, but Mega Manectric is a really good Mega. And then finally at number 1, I think, of course, is interchangeable with number 2, Mega Venusaur EX. Stage 2, and has the most HP in Pokemon card history, 380 HP, grass type. Its ability, Solar Trans. As many times as you like during your turn, you may move a basic grass energy from one of your Pokemon to one of your other Pokemon. So you can just move grass energies all you want during your turn. So this is really well paired with Teal Mask Ogerpon for infinite energy acceleration, essentially. And then Jungle Dump, 4 energies, which isn't very hard to get with the Teal Mask Ogerpons, 240 damage, and then heal 30 damage from the Pokemon. So you're healing from your 380 HP Venusaur, and then you can use this with the new Wally's Compassion supporter, which allows you to heal all damage from your Mega Pokemon. But if you do this, you have to move all attached cards onto that Pokemon into your hand. However, you can completely negate this with the Solar Trans by moving all your grass energies off of this Pokemon, using the supporter, then moving them all back on, effectively just healing your Pokemon for free. It does cost your supporter for turn, which is unfortunate, and it does have a 4 retreat cost again, which is unfortunate. But this could exist easily as its own archetype, considering that Teal Mask Ogerpon is a great draw engine, as well as the supporter healing it instantly. And 240 damage with no repercussions is great. So guys, let me know what you think of this list, what you would change, because I really do want to hear your thoughts, because I don't think this is the best list there is, but I'm pretty confident on most of my selections. What would you change? If you enjoyed, subscribe, let me know what you want to see next, and thank you for watching.